So this is a video to help you with the Sudoku Easy part of this assignment, if that's the one that you chose. So open up Sudoku Easy in the editor that you want. And I've already provided quite a bit that you won't need to do. So there's the helper file that's going to do a lot of functions for you, but then there's some extra things here. And I've stubbed out, when I wrote this program, this is basically everything I did, and then I just took out four of these functions, the body of four of these functions, and I'm going to let you do them. So just going based on the entry point for this program. So if you were just to run this program, it would come down to if name equals main, and then it's going to run this function that we have here. So this function is up here, show menu. I've got a comment here that says loop continually until a menu item is selected. So if if the user puts in a wrong value, so if my menu is to do a new game or to list scores or to quit, and they give me a W, well, W isn't something I recognize, so I'm just going to keep showing the menu until they give me a valid option. Once they give me a valid option, I'm going to do one of these things. So if they give me Q, I'm going to quit, and I've got this function down here that will do all of that for you. If they do new game, then it's going to do this new game part, and then it's going to call the play game function, which you're going to have to implement. And this play game function is just going to go through the logic of actually playing the game, obviously. So what you'll do is you're just going to continue to loop, so probably a while true I would recommend, and then just keep doing the part where they play the game. So you'll print out Sudoku, you'll print the board, you'll check to see what they gave you, and you get to choose what you want, what format, whether you want them to give you a row and a column, or whatever that's going to look like to you. You're going to parse their input and then determine what part of the board you need to update. So in here, you're probably going to call, you're probably going to do something like, let's see, maybe new board equals Sudoku, because I've got this up here. So this is a Sudoku helper. So Sudoku dot update board, and then give it the board, and then whatever you've got to give it a column and a row and a val, and you're going to come up with all that stuff. So once you call update board, you'll have a new board, and then the next iteration around, you'll print out the new board. So that's what you're going to do. So you have to make sure that it's a valid column and row, a valid value. And if they were unable to, if Sudoku helper was unable to update the board, you're going to have to handle that as well. So if it returns none, you're going to have to print out a prompt to the user saying, hey, sorry, I couldn't update the board. That wasn't a valid value. And then at the very end, you're going to need to detect if it's a win or not. So that's something you should do every time you loop. Every time you loop, you should ask the Sudoku helper, hey, is this board in a winning configuration? And if it is, then you'll print out victory and you'll quit. So that's what this play game function is going to need to do. So hopefully I gave you a lot of information for that. It's probably in my code about 20 lines of code. So it's not huge, but it's not small either. So that's probably the biggest part of the code that you're going to need to write. Then we've got this write outcome and list scores. So if somebody in this show menu chooses L for list scores, you're going to need to call this list scores function. And what the list scores function is going to do is it's going to open up the file that has all the scores. And so I've got a Sudoku scores. So this is the scores file that I've created, and you get to do whatever you want, but I have a name and then I've got a result, a win or a loss. And so then in this list scores function, you're going to ask them for whose scores they want to see, and then you're going to go through that whole file to see if there are any results in that scores file for that user. If there's not, then you'll just say, oh, sorry, there are no results for that user. But if there are, then you'll have to calculate all of the wins and losses and then print it out. That's not too bad. That might sound like it's more work than it is, but it's not too bad to find out all of those. And I actually have this parse results function here that does all that for you. So you give it the list of results. So all this function needs is so you'll do something like this. You'll open the file like we showed you how. So the width, open that whole thing. Then you'll do results equals parse results, and then f dot read lines. So if we did as f, if you remember. So that's what you're going to do. So that's what this parse results function takes. Is it just takes a bunch of lines from that results file, and I think I did say it can be whatever format you want. But if you want to use this parse results function, then it's going to have to be that format. So anyway, so that's what that does. So you won't have to calculate that, but you'll have to read the file and then determine whether or not there are any results. Results actually returns. Let's see, what does it return? Oh, it returns a dictionary. So the user that they put in will be the key in the dictionary, and then their wins and losses will be the value. So that's what that is. And then write outcome. This is actually way easier. So you'll just have the list of results, and then you'll just need to write out in append mode. You don't want to write out in read mode, or sorry, write mode, or else it's going to rewrite that whole file every time. So you just have to write out in append mode the new result. So this function, I've already tried to give you a hint that it should take the name of the user and then the outcome. And the outcome is just a win or a loss. So anyway, yeah, so those are the functions, and it's really just these four. And I'd say that the majority of the work really is in this play game, but I think you can do it. So anyway, if you need any help, let me know.